All right, folks. Well, we've just waiting for one more driver to join us, and then we're going to get underway. So I suppose we ought to have an intro, really. Here we go. All right, folks. Mark here from M1 Racing. Thanks ever so much for being with us. So slightly unusual this week. I am going to be driving with David T for Haas in a trial run of 100% race for GFR Racing. Real experience for me. I think a real experience for some of our, if not many of our drivers here. You can see we've got a pretty small grid. We've got David T in the chat already. So, David, hey, yeah, my new teammate, standing in for Mr. Hannes while they recover from their skiing accident. And Mr. Hannes has joined us on the FIA team as part of their recovery. I'm not sure how that contributes to their recovery, but we're very delighted to have them with us on the FIA team for sure. So I'm only keeping their seat warm for Haas for this pre-season race. I'm actually going to be joining Baggysaurus, Rio, my co-commentator. We're going to be driving when the season gets underway proper for AlphaTauri. So look out for that. I think these races are planned to be every 2 weeks or so. And the rules pretty much work like this. They are 100% race distance. So as you can see, we're going to be in Texas this week. But we only get a one-shot qualifier, so we've really got to make that lap count for our starting position on the grid, and then we're going to get underway with 56 very long laps. So interested to see how we get on. I have done no preparation for today. I do know this track in the game, but I really don't think I'm going to be the speed of many of the drivers out there. Mac T is the one I'm going to suggest we keep our eye on. Mac T finished, I think, third in both the sprint and the feature race last season, season 1 of the GFR Racing League. We didn't have an Elite or Pro League back then. It was just the one league. So, but Mac T had a very strong performance in Texas. So I'm going to put my money on them to begin with. So no pressure, Mac T, if you're watching and listening with us. And you see David T in the chat as well. Yeah, so Mr. Hannes off to Madeira, we hear, for vacation. A very nice part of the world as well, and probably a decent place to recover as well. So hopefully Mr. Hannes might actually be watching us or pick up on the stream at some point. But I'm very happy to relinquish my Haas seat to Mr. Hannes when they rejoin us. What I'm going to do is when we get under racing conditions, which will hopefully start pretty soon, we're just waiting for Obo to join us here. So we'll have 9 drivers out there. I'm going to try my best to do a little bit of commentary as we go. Now, obviously, it's going to be from my point of view most of the time. So I'll talk you through kind of what I'm thinking in terms of my setup, in terms of my performance, in terms of the lines that I'm taking. And try and keep things on track. If everything goes horribly wrong and I end up in the barrier, then we'll switch over to our normal commentary broadcast. But I'm very much hoping to get it to the end, and that's the primary objective today. There isn't any points up for grabs as such. This is just a pre-season. So we want to get to a point where we get all the way to the end. And hopefully we won't finish last, but you never know. Someone's got to finish last, but I'm going to try my best to keep it on track, and we'll see how we get on. So we are just waiting for Obo to join us. I see David T's also got their money on Mac T as well. I think that's a pretty safe bet here today, David. So we'll see. We'll see. I know SF7 goes well round here. They pretty much stuck with Mac T for most of that race. I see, looking at the drivers' chat as well, M. Dawling also saying very unprepared also. So I think we're going to be, I think we're all going to be finding our way around the track in Austin. But it's a really good track. And we see David T get impatient and wants to start the race. This is an SS7's giving us the ready up. So we are all go here. And I'll talk you through exactly what I'm thinking as best as I can at various different points in time. I am going to have to go quiet because I can't multitask everything at the same time. So we're going to try and keep it as simple as possible. But I'm sure as I settle in a little bit, things will get better. We shall see. So countdown is underway. And we'll go into the game. So loading up this wonderful track here in Texas. Loads of similarities to many other tracks around the globe. Now, I really don't know if I should do anything right now with these tyre choices. With 100% race, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Do you know what? We aren't doing qualifying other than the one shot, so I'm just going to move straight on. I think this will probably be a two-stopper, is my guess. 100% race round here. Texas not the easiest on the tyres, so I'm expecting to have to do a couple of stops as we go round, but we shall see. I'm going to obviously get my setup in. Let's look at the so David has got his wish. There is rain in the race, so we're going to have to keep an eye on what that does for all of us, and when that rain arrives. So that's going to mix things up. I really don't like racing in the rain, but we'll see how that goes. Let us get my setup in. Now, the real tricky thing with setups around here is trying to work out what's going to work the best on a track that's got a mixture of both long straights and tight corners. So mine's got more in the way of high downforce for the latter part of the track here. So away we go. And we're going to come up to the S's, very similar to Maggots and Beckett's. Nicole will probably want to get away from me here, but we're all right. Now the setup for this really long straight. See what my tyre pressures are doing in terms of temperature wise. We're looking pretty good. Could be hotter if I wanted them to be, but they're going to start burning a bit around this tighter part of the track. Final corner. Don't want to go beyond track limits. Oh, have we got fifth? I'm going to take that. Fifth place, not too bad. Obo's saying in the chat, no warm up, no warm up for anybody. So Emileki's saying their time was invalidated. David's saying he had a terrible lap. Let's see where we've all ended up. So Matthew M. Oh, what a Matthew. 133.024. Obo in second. Well, for no warm-up, that's pretty good, Obo. Desavec in third. M. Dorling in 4th, my good self in 5th, David T in 6th, Mac T in 7th. That surprises me. Emma Leckie and SS7 disqualified, so going beyond track limits, I suspect. So a first challenge for Aston and Mercedes, perhaps, but we sit there in the midfield. Now, I've got to be really careful here. I really don't want to take anyone out, so I'm going to be very, very gentle. But we've got to still commit. So we've certainly positioned ourselves okay. And it starts by raining. Brilliant. And it doesn't really dry up until the latter part of the race. Now, that's interesting. So it's giving me 3 changes of intermediates, which is notably faster over the course of the race. So I'm going to go with it. That's what my engineers are telling me, so that's what I'm going for. So this is going to get really interesting. Braking distances are going to be an awful lot longer. Really what I didn't want. But we're going to get practiced, certainly, driving in the wet. So wish me luck, folks. And best of luck to the rest of the drivers out here as well. Let's hope for a good race. Tons and tons and tons of wheel spin. Away we go. This is where I've got to really be super careful. I don't want to be running into the back of anyone. I'm going to get a few bumps in these early stages. I've got... Is that Emma Leckie? Yeah. Oh, Emma Leckie's going very sideways. Just really want to stay in contention with these cars in front of me. It's a really long race, so at least does mean the ERS is going to replenish nice and quickly, trying to give the Mercedes some room on the outside there. Now with this setup, I don't get an awful lot of straight line speed. Yeah, there's a car coming down my inside. I'm saying just taking this easy. That's the Ferrari of Mac T. Who's behind me? Emma Leckie's now behind me. Just really trying to get some confidence with the car in the wet before we start pushing things a little bit harder. And no one's really scampered off. Ooh, it's a bit late. So SS7 is on my tail now, having got past Emma Leckie. I seem to have lost David, unless hopefully David's right up the front, but I suspect he's not. Oh, his car's gone sideways there.
Okay, that puts you in fifth, P5. Green flag.
I guess the advantage of starting on a low downforce, a high downforce setup, I should say, with the wet, should give me a bit more grip than those that gambled on a slightly lower downforce setting. And Emma Leckie's got some track limit penalties. I wonder. So here's a challenge for you folks. If you are watching, firstly, thank you for being here. Have a guess what the highest number of track limit penalties is going to be at the end of 56 laps. I suspect it's going to be quite high. So we're currently circulating where we began the race. In 5th spot. Pretty much a decent train of cars here. So Matthew M has broken out a bit of a gap in 3rd. Some real wheel spin there. Obo setting the fastest lap of the race so far, 147.475 I think that was. Well done, Obo. So overtaking at this stage is going to be a bit tough. Probably need Decivec to make a bit of a mistake. Like that. So Emeleki's right on my tail now. They've settled into this. They're going down my inside, so I'll give them some room. Not too much room. Oh, now DRS is on, so... Now, I have been using quite a bit of VRS. Yeah, I'll let Emeleki have that. So obviously the stewards think the track is drying out well enough that they'll let us have DRS now. And that will help overtaking. So I suspect, as usual, Emeleki's got a very low downforce setting, and I've got, I think, is that a Mercedes of SS7? It is indeed. Now, what I need to make sure I do is keep DRS. Don't need to get past at this stage. Just keep DRS. So we've got MAC-T behind me now. They're coming through. And they're recovering from their spins earlier. Unfortunately, my teammate David is a long way back, so they've had a pretty tough start to this race. I want to just stay with SS7 and MAC-T for as long as I can. And that's very wide. So you see how much that ERS has replenished itself just after about 2 laps. And that on the straights really negates the much higher downforce setting I'm normally running. So. But I do need to stick with the cars in front to make the most of that. Now I can close up on these tighter stuff. So I can only imagine David had a spin at some point. Or perhaps they picked up some damage. So we are dropping back a bit from these cars in front, which is not what I want to do. My hope is that the bit of a battle commences in front and that slows them down and sends them towards me. Back to dry shortly, they say. So don't need to gamble here. It's lap 5 of 56, so we've got an awful long way to go. An awful long way to go. So these cars in front, I really do need to get tighter too. Don't want to lose that pack. Ah, there's a spin, and that's Emeleki. And this SS7 has also gone wide. This could be a race of attrition. Oh, so new strategy. Right, we're going in. We may be the first to do it. This could be a really brilliant move or dreadfully rubbish. So we are the first to pit onto mediums. That could be a brilliant move or an absolute disaster. For my pit crew seem to think it's worth it. This is going to be horrible for a lap or two.
Okay, one stop to go. Just one stop left in the strategy.
David's also into the pits, so he's got the same call. I think we may be too early really to benefit massively from this, because everyone else is going to be in, I'm sure. My only hope is that we can get a little bit more time.
A few teams in for the intermediates on now. Come on, let's go and switch over if you need to.
David's gone on to soft, so we've got split strategy going on here. Does look to be dry. Now some of you might be watching this and thinking that Sutler's the Fox, he's desperately slow, and you'll be right. I am not the fastest driver that you will ever see, but it's a lot of fun, so if you're here with us on M1 Racing, thank you. So we see drivers all pitting up front, and indeed, look, this track has got so much drier. So are we going to make up any places? No. But from those who've stayed out, maybe we will. Whoa. Virtual safety car.
Okay, slow down, slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast. Reduce your pace. Okay, VSC ending. We're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
Right, we're back racing again. That VSC took me by surprise. And that's really helped those, well, potentially depends where those intermediate runners actually were. If they were around about the pit entrance at the time, that was a real bonus for them. I didn't see on my screen. Wasn't looking. Too busy looking at the delta. Desavec is still out there on intermediates though. So we really should try and bang some time in. But the car really wants to let go at the minute. The grip isn't there yet. For me at least. Right, everyone's in the pits. What's that going to mean for us? There they all come. Well, we'll at least haven't lost too much in the way of ground. And now we're on the back of M. Dorling. Alright, so M. Dorling, Mac T and SS7 on cold tyres. Just need to stay with these. So we pitted probably earlier than we would want on mediums. We should be able to get them quite a way into the race. Well, we shall see. Who have I got behind me? Emilecki on soft tyres. And do need to stay with these in front of me, so, well, particularly where Emilecki hasn't got DRS on me. Again, I won't look to necessarily fight Emilecki too much, because those softs will go off an awful lot quicker than my mediums will around here. Yeah, Emilecki keeps catching me hand over the fist in a minute. And we've really benefited over Decivec, so they're 10 seconds back from us, so good call by the pit crew. We seem able at least to stay with SS7 and Mac T at the moment, at least. And Dorling's getting on with it. Emilecki's got a 6-second time penalty as well. Really don't need to fight them. Depends how desperately they want to get past me at this point. They've really got to make those soft tyres work, that's for sure. They're all over my back. So I won't fight them. We'll just use them as a tow. Matthew M setting the fastest lap, so Matthew M going really well around Texas. They obviously like this track. So we've really got to stay with SS7 here, and Emilecki sets the fastest lap, so that's who I've got behind me. Bear in mind SS7, Mac T, they're the drivers I mentioned at the start that went well when we were here for the 50% race. And they're not doing too bad again, but I'm staying with them, so... But they are on hard tyres, so they're going to show me up. Let's let Emilecki past. And see what they can do about. The Decivec isn't catching us, and that's the important thing. I'm going to try and consolidate this position for as long as I can. Don't want Emilecki to get away too much. Desperately need that DRS. Obo setting the fastest lap. So just got my eye on the ERS. We're down to 30% now. Emilecki's got all sorts of penalties here. Now, so the question for me is, how long do these medium tyres last? These hard runners are obviously going to go, I reckon they're hoping to get onto softs at the very end. So let's see if Emeleki looks to make a move on SS7. And if anything, this is helping me. Remember, the target here is to finish. But if we can finish reasonably up the order, I'll be even happier. And with these strategies yet to play out, you can't really read it. In terms of who really is in charge at this point.
Increasing by a few tenths per lap. Get your head down.
So when will Emeleki's tyres go off? That's the big question I've got. Whoa! Too much curb. Alright folks, I'm going to concentrate a little bit now. I'm going to try and get onto the back of Emeleki. That's probably going to be a bit tough. But I think I need to get... Can't let this group in front of me get away. Emeleki is past SS7. We've got Tim Forever in the Twitch chat. Hi Tim Forever. I honestly cannot read what you've written because I can't look at it long enough. But thanks for being here. We'll talk at the end of the race. So lap 13 of 56. An awful long way yet to go. I have not been able to really catch up with these cars in front. Tesavec, yes, about 9.5 seconds back from me here. Back end is really complaining. Keeping that gap to about 3.5 seconds. SS7 I think has just got past M. Dorling. I don't know if M. Dorling had a moment or they're struggling a little bit. They're still keeping that gap to Decivec. That's the one I've really got an eye on. These tyres are feeling pretty good at this point, at least. Don't know why I'm looking at the engine. Yeah, 17%. So they're not going off massively quickly. Obviously, you've got to go a very long way. I'm going to listen to the pit crew, really, unless we get more rain. But I think this is drying up. It's going to stay that way based on that forecast we had. Broke too early there. And there's that dip in that corner which just throws the car usually, and I can't get any pace through there. Not what I want to get, at least. Yeah, it's 4 seconds out to the front guys now, so it's just a shame, but we'll keep working. Very long way to go yet. An awful lot could happen. If we could get on the train, back of that train of 4 cars, that would be absolutely perfect. I'm not using my ERS at the moment, folks. I'm trying to charge it up a little bit. Give me a little bit of a boost a little bit later on, because the folks in front hopefully will be using an awful lot of it in order to stay with each other. Hope David's doing all right down there in 9th. Stay with it, David. Way. So, M Dawling out front is nearly 5 seconds away from me, so I've got to try and close that gap down, realistically. Not with a corner like that, I won't. And this is where I get a bit stuck in no man's land with this kind of setup. Unless I make the slow stuff really work well. So I've got no DRS, no straight line speed like the cars that are together at the front have. And then my engineer comes on and tells me how badly I'm doing. Oversteer on the exit. So you can see for the real world drivers how much concentration they have to put in to do 100% the whole time. Dancing with track limits there. So Emeleki is dropped back into 5th, so they were going well. But maybe their soft tyres are starting to go off. And they've got 12-second penalty. So we might be able to get their place from them. Depends on how long they hold on to those tyres too. Whoa. So it's either my driving or the tyres are starting to give up. We're on 24% wear. So it shouldn't really be too bad at this point. Those tyres are a bit hotter than I would personally like. Somebody will probably tell me that's perfectly fine. Yeah, so we're pretty much lapping the same as Decevec. We cannot make inroads on M. Dorling, who we know has been an improving driver in the GFR Racing Elite League. So they're continuing that good form here. I think I could be a bit more aggressive. David does seem to be really struggling at the back there. Oh no, they've gone onto medium tyres, so they've gone in for another pit stop. So David's looking to try and find some pace from somewhere. So if you're wondering what assists I use, I have ABS on, automatic gears, and the racing line, as you see, or the racing line in corners at least. I only get about a couple of hours a week to actually play the game, so I really don't have the time to learn all the tracks and the different braking points, so it definitely helps. These are crutches, you know, some of our drivers use them, some of them don't, and the ones who are the super fastest don't use any, and I'd love to be one of those, but you do need the time to practice without them. I'm also using a controller, so I just find the PlayStation controller gives me a bit more feedback than when I was using the steering wheel and the pedals. The steering wheel was great, but I couldn't feel anything through the pedals, and if any of you have driven a real car, you know, yeah, the car gives you feedback in lots of different ways, and I use a lot through the pedal and the seat. So I think I get a lot more feedback through the PlayStation controller. I am though plugged into a PC, and the apex was somewhere over there on the left, folks. Not where I went. Yeah, so I'm on PC running this game. Oh, some strange. So someone in the pits. So Emeleki's in the pits. So yeah, running on PC with the PlayStation controller plugged in. Now we're going to have Emeleki probably passing us again, but if we can stay with them this time, depends where they join, then still in the pits, Emeleki. So they've had enough of those soft tyres. That wasn't a very long stint on soft tyres at all, really. So those soft tyres not hanging on for very long. Like I say, I'm going to be listening to my pit crew, really, for when they think my next tyres are due. These softs feel as though they're coming back, actually. I don't know if that's possible in this game, or I'm just getting settled into this track. So Emelec is 8.1 seconds behind me. We'll see that already coming down at a rate of knots. 7.7 already. We won't worry about them until they're right on us. We'll keep looking forwards. Yeah, there's the apex there. So I reckon Emelec is going to be on us in about 4 or 5 laps time. Maybe sooner. But with their 12-second penalty, I'm not too worried about that, and I can't imagine Emelec taking those mediums all the way to the end of this race. Another 36 laps to go. I spoke too soon about the tyres. So the big question is, do we try and get hards all the way to the end at the next pit stop? We'll do mediums. Depends when they're going to pit me for mediums, I guess. SS7's a long way out in front. We got some fast drivers around Texas, that's for sure. I'm not one of them. Gap to Desavec who we are racing against now. They're the similar pace to us in 8th. They're keeping that gap. We pulled it out a little bit actually.
Okay, gap to the car ahead is 9.5 seconds.
That's depressing, isn't it? 9.5 seconds. To them Dawling in front of us. Before the stream today, I thought I'll be delighted if I finish in the points, but that would be cheating today because we only had 9 drivers. So I just had to finish in order to do that. So Emelec is under 2 seconds now. Alright, boxing this lap. Alright, so that's good. So they're thinking I'm going to take these medium tyres an awful long way. That was scruffy. And I've just caught Emelec out the corner of my eye. Within DRS. We're going to let them go past. There they go.
Come on, you can win that place back.
I don't think I can, engineer. But they do have 15 seconds worth of penalties, and I've got to think they're going in. So this is my dilemma, folks. Do I go on to hards and just go to the end? I'm not entirely certain. These mediums, or medium tyres, will get me to the end of this race. Not with any decent kind of pace. I'm trying to multitask here. I've gone to hards. I'm going to try and take these to the end. Oh, so halfway. We are literally halfway. I've decided to go on to hards against the advice of my pit crew.
Okay,
We'll see if that works, but I just couldn't see those mediums hanging on.
Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this
No
one.
one coming on track. Except me. So we are 23 of 56, so just under half distance. Yeah. I'm more confident about that decision at least. This is really playing the long game here, I suppose. Just hoping that these hards will get me to the end. And then if there is a safety car, unlikely with this number of cars out, but there is a safety car, we'll dash in for some softs. Everyone else is going to do the same. Looks like Decivec did the same thing, but they've gone on to medium. So I'm hoping I'm going to hold enough pace over everyone else. We'll watch the gap to Emeleki. So they've got 23 seconds ahead of us. They've got that 15-second penalty. I'm almost certain they're pitting again. Got a nice whole chunk of ERS as well. So M. Dawling's in. What does M. Dawling go for? They probably will go mediums because they're quick anyway. And they're probably not thinking of, or even slightly concerned about me. So there's penalties galore around us, except for M. Dawling. So I'd like to think we benefit from that at some point. Tell you what, if these hards carry on feeling like this for a while, I'll be very happy. So David T has moved up. It looks as though they've got past Decivec, so one on David. Let's hope they can stay there. I don't know how old their medium tyres are though, of course. Their gap to M. Dawling, that's really the interesting thing to look for. Are we lapping roughly the same as them, but on hard tyres? I think these hard tyres are pretty good. Oh, that's wide. Yeah, it's my first track limits warning, I think. Trying to avoid getting any penalties as well, because I think that's going to play a big role at the end of this race, for some of us at least. But I can't afford to go too slow to avoid getting them. M. Dawling is pulling out a little bit on us. Right, so we're definitely over half distance now. Lap 25 of 56. That's the one I really have to concentrate on. I know there's more time there. You've got to really throw the car at that corner. Decivec's 12.9 seconds. They've got back past David. So if you're joining us for the first time on M1 Racing and you're thinking, what is going on? Normally we've got some commentary and various different views of cars and what have you. We're trying something a bit different this week. We'll still have our regular races on Wednesday, 8 PM UK time for the GFR Elite League. That's still going to happen. But this is a pre-season for the GFR Ironman. which are 100% races. We get a single qualifying lap. And that sets the grid for the race, and then we do a 100% race. So we've got 56 laps of the Circuit of the Americas here in Texas. 21 corners now under the Texas sunshine. There was the Texas rain clouds when we started. And whereas I would normally commentate on the rest of the field, I thought I'd have a go myself this time. Obviously the GFR drivers, they're strong, and we see that every week on a Wednesday. But as much as I love watching and commentating on them, they can't keep all the fun to themselves. So and this week I'm on the Haas team with David T. Wide. Yeah, there's the next one. So we've got 3 seconds coming pretty soon. Thought I'd try and carry a bit more speed through there and misjudged it. Now, what was I saying? I was saying we're halfway, and we're not halfway yet, am I? Aren't we? So my maths has failed me. So maybe the hard tyres was the right choice, unless others are thinking of one more stop. I'll have no chance of defending against anybody. So David has got past Tesavec one more time. So this really has got to take these hard tyres all the way to the end. That was my call. That's what we're going to try and do. Mac T's dropped back to 6th. Now, have they pitted? I suspect they have. Whoa. Bit heavy on the throttle. There's that dip. You can send the car all over the place. Starting to slide somewhat, which is not good. 15 seconds back to David T. So as I say, I think these hards are good in terms of pace for sure. David did say before the start of the race that he really doesn't feel as though he had any pace around here, and it is all about hooking this place up, and I can't say I've got it either. We're here in 7th place. Could definitely do an awful lot better than that. We're not up with our top 6 runners at all. Desavec's into the pits. I wonder what they're going for. Another medium set. So now we are at half distance. If you're joining us from somewhere in Europe or Asia, I hope your Sunday was good. And if you're joining us from the Americas, good morning. Well, it's probably good afternoon now, I'd say. Mac T, new tyres, fastest lap. Whoa. Struggling. It's fair to say. Desavec's gone on to soft, so all sorts of strategies playing out at the back of this field. Now, there are other cars out on this track, we're just nowhere near them. Yeah, genuinely playing the long game here. I don't know if it's a game that's going to work. SS7's now on some new mediums. We are pulling out some time on David, so but Desaveca will have to stop one more time. There's no way they'll take those soft tyres to the end. If they do, that's a
Okay, so the gap to the car
physical
ahead,
miracle.
13.0 seconds.
Also 3 seconds for SS7. It's probably going to come to all of us before the end of this race. T setting another faster lap, 1:36.164. And Matthew M's in the pits. I'd forgotten about Matthew M entirely, so apologies, Matthew M. So the big question for me now is, when does cramp arrive in my fingers and my hands? Probably the moment we head off into the scenery somewhere. Well, I am now the only car out of 5 without penalties. SS7 was on hard tyres earlier. There's a car up in front of us. So that will be Decivec. I'll get that braking point right. Oh, Decivec staying on there. Thank you, Decivec. I don't know if that was AI or it was them, but yeah, I think they just got out of my way. So thank you, Decivec. Well, they've just had enough of today. No, they are still going. Obo's in the pits. Oh, we're going to go past them? No. There they are, up in front of us. Pit stop here, I guess, is about 24, 25 seconds.
And gap to the car in front is 3.9 seconds.
If we could only get on the back of Obo and get a slipstream, that would be amazing. I think we'll do well because Obo's on brand new medium tyres and will disappear off into the distance. We've got, I think I've just seen, I don't know how old this message is, but I think it's Decivec in the chat, and the driver's chat has just said in a safety car they pray, and I think, oh no, Decivec has lost, well they've left us, that's a shame. DNF, so the first DNF, so Matthew M sets the fastest lap, 1:35.976, so our driver's in the 1:35s, that's rubbish. Oh, right.
Managing your tyres, manage your tyres.
Yeah, I see Decivec in the Twitch chat. They've just said they've had enough. I don't blame you. It's a long old race, and if it's not coming together, then sometimes it's a sensible thing to do. But thanks for giving it a go, and I'll hopefully see you on Wednesday. I know SS7 will be delighted to have you back. So we are pulling out time on my good friend and teammate David T here. So this, their home track, not their best track for sure. David is lightning on some circuits, I can tell you. We were doing a 5-lapper the other day around Austria, which David unfortunately missed in the league. But they really gave SS7 a run for their money in that 5-lapper. So as David said at the end of that, where would he have finished if in the league race? SS7 came home second in that one. But unfortunately we lost David T from the Wednesday races. Just to change the commitments at home, which is perfectly fine. But David came and joined me on the FIA team, and he's just a fantastic addition. Real level-headed, very clear thinker. And a pretty darn good racing driver too. But perhaps he's glad this is a pre-season and not the real points-paying races. And that's late on that one. So M. Dorling is 17 seconds ahead of us on lap 33. 8 seconds to Obo. So M. Dorling's probably hoping for at least a pit stop gap.
Ahead is 8.3 seconds.
We are going to have very, very old hard tyres come the end of 56 laps for sure. I suppose I am giving up best part of a second a lap maybe to Obo, but for how long? As David was telling me just before the race started, it gets hot here in Texas. Not right now at this time of year, but in the summer, 40 degrees Celsius every day. And it looks like one of those days today too. In the game, that is. The rain clouds are long since gone. Well, it's actually 11 seconds ahead, engineer, but thanks. Now what we may also take a look at, depending on how far ahead of David we are towards the end of the race, is if we're absolutely nowhere near the rest of them, we might have a go on soft tyres for the very end, but we'll see. So my hard tyres are showing 22% worn. Just got to show some stamina here. Gonna have about 20 laps left to go. So these hard tyres will hang on that long for sure. And of course we are dicing with our 2 track limit warnings. Trying to avoid getting any more. If you would like to see some racing with some full-on commentary and not just sitting behind my wheel, come and join us on Wednesday, 8 PM UK time, for round 8 of GFR Racing Elite League. This week we are in the Netherlands. A very tight track, incredibly different to this one. So there will be some super close racing in that. There's that dip and the car does not want to settle when I go through it. I can't get the power on. I feel as though I'm losing so much time. Imaleki's into the pits with an 18-second time penalty. Then they've gone on to soft tyres. So they'll all disappear off into the distance. So this is my only dilemma really. I would love a safety car. Alright, so David is into the pits one more time. David, if you can hear me, you'll get an extra point for fastest lap if you can make it. We've only got 9 drivers. Just keep an eye on the chat there. Major wing damage for Deseffect. That's a shame. That is going to slow you down. And over 100% race, you just can't afford damage.
Our gap to the car in front is 0.1 seconds.
Is it really? 0.1 seconds? I think the game's had a moment. So I can only imagine Emelec is going to pick one more time. Still got my eye on their place, you know. I'm just intrigued. I'm going to stick with this hard strategy now, just to see what it does. Because it might come in handy in future races if I know that, you know, a long stint on hard tyres is a genuinely good option. But so many of our drivers went onto hards and then pitted again, so I'm happy to be proven wrong, by the way. This may not be the answer, but I'm just intrigued. I obviously do not have the pace of the cars in front of me by any stretch of the imagination. I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. Everyone around me has penalties. I have yet to pick one up, but I'm sure I will. I'm going to get at least 1-3 seconds before the end of this race, I'm sure. Particularly when these tyres do finally give up. Wait. That's not the tyres, that's me. So SS7's into the pits now. David's 39 seconds, 40 seconds behind me. Oh no! Oh no! That's me. That's ruined it. Silly. First spin. Silly. Right. And that's the risk with these long races. The concentration, you've got to keep it going the whole time, and that's ruined my strategy completely. That really was only going to work if I kept it pointing in the right direction. So now, do I think about, so we're going to have 16 laps to go. New medium tyres maybe? Is it worth it? Or do we stick with it? And that was just purely lack of concentration on my part. Really silly. And now Mac T's in the pits. So I've lost a whole bunch of time, as you can see, to SS7, who was on those soft tyres anyway. Way. Alright, let's get back into a bit of a groove. Yeah, these tyres are really starting to feel a bit funny now. That's partly my fault. Any benefit I was getting? Or do we just pray for a safety car? We're not going to get one, are we, really? I think both David and I would love a safety car.
Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 27.2 seconds.
Yeah, spinning like this thing is really tough. That's silly, really. The only one today, but annoying because it was my own fault. Not paying attention. There's the 3 seconds. Ah. Well, it was going so well, folks, but we gave it a try. David is now catching me on his mediums. Matthew M is in the pits. So it's all, I think it must be quite close at the front, you know. Yeah, David really is closing in now, so maybe the last few laps we should go in and get. We're not going to influence these front runners at all. It doesn't look like they're very close either. I think if we are going to pit, we might as well just go on to softs, really. We've got to think these guys on softs up front, you see. Well, Haas are the strongest team here because we're propping everyone else up. I can just feel the car thinking, telling me, or the tyres telling me, no, you really don't want to push there.
Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please.
Thank you, Desovic. Haas for the title. Well, I'd love to say yes to that. What we're going to hope for is a safety car come out just as I'm approaching the pits, and we'll be in. And let everyone else go around, and we'll catch up on the end of them. And our brand new soft tyres. And that'll be it. Tortoise and the hare. David is getting very close to me now in the grand scheme of things. He's been the best part of 40 seconds away for a big chunk of the race, but maybe he's found some pace now, which I'm very glad about. Well, I'm going to set this to softs, and just in case we do have to pit, there's no point in going on to mediums now. I don't even think I'll get fastest lap, but it's worth a shot. And final corner for another time, for the 43rd time. Lap 44. I'd love to know what's going on up front. And that's the privilege of being a commentator. We have got to watch some incredible races this season. We do get to see what's going on, but oh, that's a big corner cut. And I have found talking and driving an interesting experience today. I'm not going to make excuses and say it adds time to my lap. That's just my shortage of ability. Decifec, as you're watching, let us know who's in first place, second place, third place right now. Put it in the chat for us. It'd be great to know. I don't have Pete with me today, you see. He would be telling me everything that's going on.
Okay, so the gap to the car ahead, 25.9 seconds.
So that's all my engineer does. He just tells me the gap to the car in front. I can see that. It's on my screen. Emeleki's in first. Oh, well done, Emeleki. Mac T in third. And for some reason, the lights in my room have just dimmed. So it's getting very, I don't know, romantic in here all of a sudden. But it's just me. On my own. You do get a bit of tunnel vision, I tell you. This many laps in. Matthew's second. SS7 fourth. My lights have completely gone off in my room. Oh, they're back on again. I reckon somewhere nearby. It's pitch black in my room all of a sudden. This is fascinating. I don't know how. If I can find the button, I'll turn it back on. There it is. I think someone nearby has got a TV remote control. It keeps turning my lights off and on. So lap 45 and 56. We're just coming up on the 10 laps to go mark. Oh, well, that's a dreadful line through there, Mark. SS7 attacking Mac T. Okay, but their teammate is giving them DRS, and that will be, I think that's Matthew M today for Ferrari. And we've seen Matthew M in previous races. They've had a bit of a tough ride in the Elite League. But they have definitely had some pace. I've just unfortunately picked up some penalties. I'm losing so much time to David now. David's definitely found some pace, so good for David. I'm going to persevere on these hard tyres. You never know what might happen. Hey Spicy, thanks for joining the stream. Good to have you with us. It would be even better if you were out here racing with us. My fingers are sore, is all I'm going to say at this point. Spicy, how's the wheel training coming along? Talk us through it. Yeah, I agree, Spicy. It is a cracking track. We, according to Decivec, we obviously cannot see on the stream here who's up front. But it looks like a good old battle going on for the lead of this race, as my hard tyres are now some ridiculous amount old. We've had rain at the start of the race. Everyone on intermediate tyres for about the first 10 laps. McT's second. So I was saying about Matthew M. They have had some good pace, but they haven't really converted it into anything meaningful in the races. They were doing all right last week, but unfortunately had a coming together with NRG Panzerotto, and that meant they were in fifth at that moment in time. Yeah, they were fifth at that moment in time, but ended up, I think, about 12th, or maybe they didn't even finish in the end, which is a real shame for Matthew. But they are doing well here today by all accounts, according to Devasek. Ugh. And just to Spicy and the rest of them in the chat, don't make your messages long. I can't glance down and read them all and then keep my eye on the track. So that's allowing David to catch up with me, my teammate. And we will let David pass. So David has a 9-second penalty. I've got 3. Then Dorling looks to be the only one who doesn't. That is a rubbish line. I see I can't concentrate on everything at the same time. Multitasking is not my strong point. And David's probably in his cockpit laughing at me. He's probably close enough to be able to see all of that now. He's 1.5 seconds behind me. This is an exercise in how far you can take hard tyres. I cannot remember what time I put them on. Well, someone's in the pits again. Right, so David's a second behind me. He's obviously not going to fight him. You can tell that my tyres are well and truly gone. Say it's an exercise in seeing how far they'll go, because it's a strategy I might want to use in a future actual race. You never know. Okay, David, it's all yours if you want it, or we're going to save for the main. Did we lose David briefly there? Oh no, he's still there. These tyres have had seen better days for sure. Right, so David will have the DRS from me. And we'll do a Haas 2 to bring 1-2 to bring it home. David, if you can hear me, you're welcome to take the lead. We have our own little mini Haas race going on here. So, Obo, 31 seconds ahead of us. Now, Spicy, I seem to remember you were going quite well here last year, and they had a bit of a coming together. I'm going to move over and let David pass. Hopefully he sees that. Whee! Yeah, these tyres have seen better days. What do we say? We're not going to take that place away from David, so we'll go and... Well, I suppose we will in terms of time penalties. Soft tyres. Yeah, 2 back markers. Yeah, fighting for P2. I remember it was a good race as well. Yeah, you definitely had some pace spicy around here last time. I need to get with David again. I haven't been using my ERS for ages, just been focusing on trying to keep these tyres going. Obo sets the fastest lap of the race. Whoa. So, we need to look at what percentage these tyres are now on, because they are absolutely horrible. 51. Yeah, so 50% these tyres start to feel pretty awful. Yeah, 70% come the end. We'll see if we can make it work. Probably not the greatest spectacle from a spectator's perspective, I will grant you, but hopefully you'll allow me this indulgence this week. And it's certainly interesting to get this practice in the old fingers.
That's just 5 laps of fuel remaining.
And somebody has definitely found a TV controller nearby that happens to control my Bluetooth lights or my radio controlled lights, because they keep going off and on. So this could be a nighttime race in Texas for me right now, and then they come back on again. Well, David's gone in the pits. Okay, come on, David. Fastest lap for you, sir. So, Desavec, my co-commentator on the Twitch stream, who's leading? Who's second? Who's third? Tell us the gaps as well. We are right at the end of this race now. So, David's set himself a challenge. He's got 14 seconds to get up to me on. We've got 4 laps left. Matthew is first with 6-second penalty.
is 55.3 seconds.
Second Mac T without a pen. Interesting. So they were good here last year, season 1. MVRJ Repo's teammate, who we haven't seen for a little while. And then SS7 in third. Okay, well done, SS7. He went quite well with Mac T last season as well, so it was close between those two. I remember Joe Bean, and I think it was Joe Bean and Spicy's with us here in the Twitch chat. They had a pretty fierce battle for a while. SHS obviously was in there. Didn't win here. I think MVR, J-Repo got both. Sprint and feature that day. One of the few weeks that SHS didn't win. Alright, what we wouldn't kill for a safety car right now. I would nail David on for the win. Yeah, J Repo just disappeared here. He had so much space. So lap 53 of 56, we have nearly made it to the end, folks. If you've been with me since the very beginning, I think you all get a gold star. This truly has been a marathon. First time I've ever done 100% race. David is coming at me at a rate of knots, so well done, David. Obo, and David's got the fastest lap. Well done, David. Brilliant. 1:33.883. Get in there. Lovely drive, David. Timed that perfectly. Don't think any of our front runners will be giving up track position for a fastest lap. Genius. But he's coming at me pretty darn quick. %57 on the old tyres. Go on, David. Where are you going to go? I can move out your way. So I did have this hard tyre strategy going quite well until I spun. And then it all fell apart pretty much. Lost too much time at that point. And that was just really in the hope that there would be a safety car. As well as trying to see how long these hard tyres would hang on for. They're not going too bad, but as you can tell compared to David on those brand new soft tyres, you give up so much time over the course of a lap. You've really got to have some good pace on its own just to make that strategy work. So it's maybe not one I'll try again, but it's been a useful experiment. And then if nothing else, you get a feel what it's like to drive on very, very old hard tyres. So lap 55 and 56. Well, one thing's going to be sure, we are going to be lapped. Now, the risk I've got now is that Davey's going to be finishing 6 seconds clear of me. So he is going to take 7th place. Well done, David. So that tells us a lot about tyres here and how long you can go on them. And there's really no point in trying to drag these kind of tyres out. So we'll know that for next time. Just lose so much time. And I think if it wasn't for the starting on intermediates, it might have been a different story. But we really thought we'd try and make the two-stopper work. But the cars in front of us have gone on and done many more stops than that. So, final lap. Well done, everyone. We have made it to the last lap of the race. The first ever Ironman for GeForce Racing. It's been a real experience. MacD didn't quite lap us, but they had a pretty good go. So what this means is that we are going to be last over the line. Well done, MacT. Great drive. Well, David and I had our money on MacT at the start of this race, and they've proven us to be right.
Less than one lap of fuel left now. The tank's pretty much empty.
Yeah, right, Spices. Sticking with that DRS, which we tried to do at the start. We were doing all right. Actually, we were behind SS7, MacT, Obo, M. Dorling. And we were sticking with them. And then we just dropped out of it briefly, and that was it. That was enough to stick us just really into no man's land for a long while. You can really hear the car playing up now. I wonder if it's that the engine's about to blow up. Right, we're coming around the final corner. Lap 56. Brilliant. Well, folks, thanks ever so much for being with us on doing that. It was a bit of fun. Oh, my hands. It's the first time I've moved them out of one set position. MacT gets the drive of the day. I can't argue with that because I haven't seen MacT for a while. But he obviously drove remarkably well and finished out in front. So it looks like we've got two Ferraris on the podium, and then SS7 is there as well, I think, in the second spot. So SS7 will be pleased with that particular one. I'm waiting to see the final timings come up on the screen. Time here in the UK, 21:52, 52 minutes past 9 on a Sunday night. If you're with me, thanks ever so much for being here. One for the purists, I'd say, if you're like your F1. Let's see what those final standings were. All right, so MacT comes home first, having started 7th on the grid. SS7, that's a good drive from 9th, finishing 2nd for Mercedes. Matthew M, good performance for them, seeing them much further up the grid for Ferrari. Emilecki 4th. The two Alfa Romeos side by side, Obo and M. Dorling, then followed by Team Haas, David T, also picking up fastest lap of the race, 1:33.883. Well done, David, brilliant drive. And me in 8th, and Sally for Desavec, our sole DNF today. Wow, okay, well, I'm not going to keep you any longer than that. Thanks ever so much for being with us on M1 Racing. We will do this again. But until then, we'll see you very, very soon on M1 Racing. And come and join us Wednesday, 8 p.m. UK time, for the GFR Racing Elite League, where we get a 50% race, but a much fuller grid, and some fantastic racing around the Zandvoort track in the Netherlands. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye for now.